Historical theories that sound crazy but could be true. Ancient aliens. One of the most enduring theories out there is that ancient aliens visited our planet and assisted early humans in their development. Proponents of the ancient aliens theory, also known as the extraterrestrial hypothesis, believe that beings from another world helped ancient civilizations build great monuments such as the pyramids of Giza, Stonehenge, and the Nazca Lines. They point to unexplained aspects of these structures as evidence, suggesting that only advanced technology could have created them. However, mainstream archaeologists reject the ancient aliens theory, attributing these sites to human ingenuity and hard work. What do you think? Could there be some truth to the ancient aliens theory? Or are the pyramids of Giza truly just the result of human ingenuity and hard work? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Phantom time. The phantom time hypothesis is a controversial theory proposed by German historian Herbert Illig in 1978. It suggests that the period of history known as the early Middle Ages, roughly between 614 and 911 AD, was fabricated by European elites to legitimize their power. Illig argued that this period, which includes the reigns of many well-known medieval figures such as Charlemagne and the first three Viking Age rulers, never actually happened. Instead, he claimed that it was a historical hoax created by powerful individuals to make themselves seem more important than they were. Illig's theory has been widely rejected by the vast majority of historians, who argue that there is plenty of evidence that the early Middle Ages did take place. However, the debate continues. Some people still believe that Illig may be onto something, and that there are parts of history that we simply don't know about. Shakespeare wasn't Shakespeare. The theory that Francis Bacon, or Edward de Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford, wrote the plays attributed to William Shakespeare has gained traction among some scholars and enthusiasts over the years. Supporters of these theories argue that there are significant gaps in Shakespeare's biography, and that the man from Stratford-upon-Avon did not have the education or life experiences to write such sophisticated works. They also point to similarities between Bacon's and Shakespeare's writing styles as evidence that Bacon was the true author. However, the vast majority of literary experts reject these claims, arguing that there is ample evidence that Shakespeare did indeed write the plays and poems attributed to him. Ultimately, the question of who wrote Shakespeare's plays remains a mystery. Atlantis was real. Atlantis, the mythical island nation described by Plato in his work Republic, has captivated the imagination of many throughout history. Plato's description of Atlantis as a place of wisdom and enlightenment, later depicted as a decadent and corrupt society, has led some to believe that it was based on a real historical civilization. Some scholars believe that Plato's description of Atlantis may have been inspired by the lost civilization of the Minoans on the island of Crete, or the Tartessos culture in Spain, both of which had sophisticated societies that eventually declined. However, the existence of Atlantis as a physical place has never been proven, and it remains a subject of ongoing debate and speculation. Jesus traveled to India. The idea that Jesus traveled to India is a relatively new one, but it has gained some traction in recent years. Proponents of the theory believe that Jesus spent time in India studying Eastern spirituality and philosophy, particularly in the region of Kashmir. They point to similarities between some of Jesus' teachings and those of Hindu and Buddhist traditions as evidence that he may have traveled to India. However, there is no historical evidence to support the claim that Jesus ever set foot in India. Most biblical scholars agree that Jesus was born in Bethlehem and his ministry took place in and around the Middle East. The idea that he traveled to India is considered a fringe theory at best. The Great Library of Alexandria wasn't destroyed. The Great Library of Alexandria, one of the world's largest and most comprehensive collections of knowledge in the ancient world, was supposedly destroyed in a series of fires and acts of violence over several centuries. However, some historians argue that the library was never actually destroyed and that its vast collection of books and scrolls is still hidden somewhere waiting to be discovered. This theory is supported by the fact that much of what we know about the library comes from second-hand accounts, and there is little physical evidence of its destruction. Some believe that the library's collection was deliberately hidden to protect it from those who would seek to destroy it, while others believe that it was simply lost over time. The moon landing happened, but there were aliens. In 1969, humans achieved a seemingly impossible feat when they landed on the moon for the first time. However, some people believe that there is more to the moon landings than meets the eye. Conspiracy theorists claim that the astronauts saw something strange on the moon that the government doesn't want us to know about. They point to blurry images and inconsistencies in official accounts as evidence that there were aliens on the moon before humans got there. However, there is no concrete evidence to support these claims, and the vast majority of scientists and experts agree that the moon landings are one of humanity's greatest achievements and that they happened exactly as they were reported. Ancient nuclear war in India. Some believe that the ancient Indian epic, the describes a devastating nuclear war that took place on the Indian subcontinent thousands of years ago. Proponents of this theory point to descriptions of weapons that cause massive destruction and inexplicable events, such as the disappearance of entire armies, as evidence of nuclear warfare. Additionally, some researchers have discovered mysterious ruins in India that they believe are the remnants of cities destroyed by nuclear blasts. However, this theory is highly controversial and most mainstream historians and scientists reject it. They argue that the Mahabharata is a religious text, and that the descriptions of warfare are simply that, not meant to be taken literally. Cleopatra was an Egyptian. Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, is often depicted as the epitome of Egyptian royalty. However, some historians argued that she was not Egyptian at all, but rather Greek. Proponents of this theory point to Cleopatra's lineage, which can be traced back to Alexander the Great and Ptolemy I, two Greek rulers who conquered Egypt in the 4th century BC. They argued that Cleopatra's Greek ancestry had a significant influence on her identity, and that she identified more with her Greek heritage than with Egyptian culture. While Cleopatra did make efforts to learn the Egyptian language and customs, she was primarily a Greek speaker, and her tomb, which was discovered in 1998, contains items associated with Greek culture. Nero didn't fiddle while Rome burned. Nero, the last emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, has been widely depicted as a tyrannical and irresponsible ruler who fiddled while Rome burned in 64 AD. This portrayal of Nero has been perpetuated by Roman historians such as Suetonius and Tacitus, who painted him as a cruel and uncaring leader. However, some historians argue that this depiction of Nero is a political smear campaign designed to discredit him, and that he was actually a capable and compassionate ruler who did his best to help the citizens of Rome during the fire. They point to evidence that Nero was in fact outside of Rome when the fire began, and that he spent a great deal of time and money trying to put it out. Time traveler in ancient Chinese tomb. In 2013, a team of archaeologists in China made a shocking discovery in an ancient tomb dating back to the Western Han Dynasty, which lasted from 206 BC to 24 AD. They found a strange object that looked like a modern-day watch buried with a member of the royal court. The object, which is made of copper and gold, has a series of gears and markings that are not consistent with any other artifacts found in the tomb or from the surrounding time period. Some believe that the object could be a real-life time machine left behind by an ancient civilization. Others believe it may have been planted there as a hoax by someone looking to make a name for themselves. The Illuminati controlled the French Revolution. The French Revolution was a period of radical social and political upheaval in France that lasted from 1789 to 1799. It was a time of immense change and upheaval that saw the overthrow of the monarchy and the rise of a new republic. Some believe that the revolution was actually controlled by the Illuminati, a secret society founded in Bavaria in 1776. The Illuminati, with its goal of bringing about a new world order, is said to have infiltrated the ranks of the revolutionaries and pulled the strings from behind the scenes. This theory is supported by the fact that many of the key players in the revolution were members of the Illuminati. However, there is no concrete evidence to support the claim that the Illuminati had any kind of central role in planning or executing the revolution. The Great Fire of London was an inside job. The Great Fire of London, which occurred in 1666, was a devastating blaze that destroyed a large portion of the city. It is said to have started in a bakery on Pudding Street and spread rapidly, fueled by strong winds. Some people believe that the fire was not an accident, but rather an inside job orchestrated by members of the government. They believe that these individuals set fire to the city in order to profit from the sale of land afterwards. However, there is no evidence to support this theory, and it is widely accepted that the fire was the result of an unfortunate combination of factors, including the hot, dry weather at the time, the construction materials used in the buildings, and the lack of a proper fire department. The Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia. The Ark of the Covenant, a mysterious and powerful artifact from the Old Testament, is said to contain the 10 Commandments and other sacred relics. Its current whereabouts are unknown, and many believe that it was lost or destroyed long ago. However, some people believe that the Ark is actually in Ethiopia, being guarded by monks in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. According to Ethiopian tradition, the Ark was brought to Ethiopia by the Queen of Sheba, and has remained there ever since. However, there is no concrete evidence to support this claim, and the existence of the Ark itself has never been proven. Templars discovered America. The Knights Templar, a holy order of warriors founded in 1180 to protect pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land, were a mysterious and powerful force in medieval Europe. Some people believe that the Templars were involved in a secret mission to explore and possibly even conquer the Americas long before Christopher Columbus arrived. This theory is based on the fact that the Templars were known to travel to remote areas and that they had access to advanced shipbuilding technology. However, there is no evidence to support the claim that the Templars ever set foot in the Americas. The Black Knight Satellite. The Black Knight satellite is a supposed alien satellite that has been orbiting the Earth for thousands of years. It is said to be the source of mysterious signals that have been detected by radio telescopes around the world. However, these signals are actually believed to be artificial in origin, but rather the result of junk in space, interfering with the telescopes. Despite this, many people continue to believe that the Black Knight satellite is real, and that it is evidence of an extraterrestrial presence near the Earth. Napoleon was poisoned slowly by wallpaper. Napoleon Bonaparte, the French military leader and emperor who played a significant role in the Napoleonic Wars, died in exile on the island of St. Helena in 1821. At the time, it was believed that he had died of stomach cancer. However, some people now believe that Napoleon was poisoned slowly over time by the wallpaper in his exile home. This theory is supported by the fact that Napoleon had been suffering from stomach problems for several years before his death, and that the wallpaper in his bedroom contained arsenic, which is a highly toxic substance. However, there is no concrete evidence to support this claim, and it remains a fringe theory. So that's it for now. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with fellow Your support helps us bring you more captivating content like this.